Good evening, folks. Folks, we're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. So if you could just start taking your seats, that would be great. And welcome. We're glad to have you. Good evening. See you. Good evening. Hey, Lee. Good evening. And welcome to this evening's quarterly speaker series. My name is Greg Brainerd, and on behalf of the Rotary Club of Daniel Island, the Daniel Island Business Association, the Daniel Island Community Fund, and the Daniel Island Club, we are extremely pleased to host this evening's event. We all know that North Charleston is undergoing massive transformation and growth, and we are pleased to host its trailblazing mayor, Reggie Burgess. But first, let me take a moment and just share with you what we're going to be doing next quarter in January. We all probably remember the name Katie Ledecky from this past Summer Olympics. She became the most decorated female swimmer ever. But who held the record before? For 16 years, from the 2004 Olympics and all the way until the prior Olympics in 2020, her name is Jenny Thompson, the winner of 12 Olympic medals, 8 of them being gold medals. And guess where she now calls home? Right here on Daniel Island. And guess what else? Jenny Thompson now goes by Dr. Jenny Thompson. She's now an anesthesiologist practicing at the VA Medical Center right here in Charleston. So who does that? Who has a world-renowned swimming career spanning 4 Olympics and then completely reinvents themselves? And as an anesthesiologist, nonetheless, I can't even say the word. So who is that determined? Excuse me. Who is that passionate? Come join us again for a truly inspiring evening on January 22nd. Now, let me share a bit about tonight's very distinguished guest, Mayor Reggie Burgess. Excuse me. Mayor Burgess is a native of North Charleston, born and raised. You could say he has shaped who he- that you could say that it has shaped who he is today, and he now leads with a balanced perspective of the city's social fabric, along with his boundless optimism for the city's growing position as the economic backbone of our greater region and beyond. He was a star multi-sport athlete in high school, earning his full football scholarship to Morgan State University, where he earned multiple All-American awards. After college, Mayor Burgess joined the North Charleston Police Department, where during his very distinguished career, he rose to the rank of Chief of Police. Under his leadership, crime rates fell significantly as he fostered innovative youth programs, community engagement, and a more unified city. But his career of serving the city and the citizens was not over. This past year, he won overwhelmingly as the newly elected mayor of North Charleston. Mayor Burgess is a lifetime member of the Royal Missionary Baptist Church. He is married to his high school sweetheart, and they are proud parents of an adult son and daughter. We are surely in for a very enlightening and truly entertaining evening with the mayor. His passion, dedication, his energy for the city and what lays ahead is truly inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mayor Reggie Burgess.
Now, that's going to be hard to follow. I want to, first of all, this is for me. I want to thank my Lord and Savior for allowing me to wake up this morning in my right mind. I was driving in, and the last time I came out with everybody, it was kind of easy to get here because it was in the daytime. So my office now, when I was a mayor, right, my office is on the second floor by the flagpoles. So the mayor's office is in the rear near Verizon building. So I could see the Interstate 26, right? And I saw going to Somerville, it was packed. I said, oh, I'm good. But then I looked at the Mark Clark. I said, no, I'm not good. So I said, I have a nice car, but I don't have any blue lights in the cars. I mean, I'm a cop. What happened to the blue light? So I said, well, I'll make it over. So I came over to Mount Pleasant and I made it over. And when I got in here, like I said, the last time it was daytime. And I got in here tonight. I said, now, I have to keep it real now. If y'all don't know, I'm a black man. I'm a black man now. And I said, I can't be pulling these people yards now. I mean, they may call the police on me. So every time I saw somebody wave, I said, how you doing? I'm getting, so I finally found a building. So hopefully my players or whoever will come to try to, deal with me, City of Charleston. So just Daniel Allen, I don't want any problems. None. Well, the last time I came, I kind of gave you all some updates, what's going on in North Charleston, and I want to kind of fulfill those. What I basically do as the mayor, I'm kind of like the ambassador, but I'm the person that has learned a whole lot from my family. My great grandmother, she was born in the 1890s. We didn't know what date she was born. She didn't know. We just calculated because my grandmother was born in 1922, and she said she had her first child when she was 30 something years old. So we calculated back. But my great grandmother was so impactful on my life because she showed me and taught me things that I needed to know and things I needed to hear. And she would always tell me, people, that God had things for me to do. Always tell me that. And even when I got in trouble, and she spanked me, she said, God still have things for you to do. So I always thought that my athletic ability was the way. I always did. So I played Dixie Youth Baseball at Danny Jones. I played Little League Football at Danny Jones. I played basketball at Danny Jones, and then I ran Junior Olympics. So I was going all year long. My ultimate dream was to play on Fridays, football. That's high school. The second dream was to play on Saturdays. That's college. But the ultimate dream with me was to play on Sundays. That's the NFL. And I really wanted to get to the NFL because I wanted to help my mother and my father. I want to help you lift them up. They had did so much for me. And that dream never came to fruition. And I got all the way to Saturday and I got to the Toronto Argonauts, but I got cut, so I came back home. But what do I do when I get back home? So what I did was when I was coming home those 4 years from Maryland, I saw my community in a different light. When I grew up, when you had a elderly person or anybody sitting on the porch, you always spoke to them. You always asked them if they need anything done. When I was coming home, I didn't see it anymore. The older folks wouldn't sit on the porches. The yards weren't maintained. You know, the houses didn't look the way they were when I was growing up. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. Well, I found out my sophomore, junior year that social decay had set in. Drugs had came to my neighborhood. And when drugs come to your neighborhood, things start to go down. People were afraid to go outside. So once I came from Toronto, I said, I want to make a difference in my community. But you have to be on the inside of the law enforcement to make an impact for the outside. So that's why I became a cop. I want to help. I want to improve the conditions in my community. I did it for 34 years. I actually never worked any other place. I wouldn't want to work. Those are the neighborhoods I grew up in, people. The people who I went to school with, church with, the people who I knew all my life, I would go to calls and see those people. But every day I had a blessing because I knew I was really working in the community that I need to be in. So now, as the mayor, I am doing the same thing. I am what you call an out and about mayor. I was an out and about chief. You may have seen me walking neighborhoods with my stop the violence sign. You see me going to funerals. You see me in wakes. You see me in the community. I can't be myself unless I'm with you all, because the Bible says that we all can be great. We all can be the best of the best. We all can be the favorable one. But the Bible says the greatest among us is a servant. That's what the Bible says. When you serve, that's when you're good. When you serve, that's when you understand. So that's what I want to do. I want to be the servant to help people. So that's what I'm trying to do now. I have to get out of the law enforcement realm where everything is fast, pace. I had an interview with the Post and Courier yesterday, and they said, well, what's the difference? I said, the pace. When you're a cop, man, you ripping and running. But as a mayor, it's stealth. Serious. Everything slows down, and you have to do what my great-grandmother told me. Listen, son. And then you listen, and then you listen, then you respond, and you listen some more. So I see Chris over here from Mercedes. And when we meet together, that's what we do. We listen all the time. I had meetings with Roper, I had meetings with Boeing, I had meetings with every development, every company you can imagine. But I really get a lot of it when I listen to people. And that came from my great-grandmother telling me to listen. So I'm going to kind of go over some things here that just to let you know what North Charleston is about. Not being braggadocious now. I don't want y'all to think that. But I got to represent my city, right? So city of North Charleston is the only city in the world that manufactures high-end vehicles, vans, Mercedes, and high-end planes, Boeing. There's no other city that has those two in it. Yes. We're the only city in the United States of America that has the C-17 cargo planes as a home base. Those cargo planes you see, that's their home base over there. Now, I went up to the Pentagon 2 months ago. We're the only city for the East Coast, from Key West to Maine, that the Coast Guard is going to be right there on Spruce Avenue. Right there. So when I went to the Pentagon, people said, well, you went in the military. No, my father, my brother served, but I'm not a fool. I saw something that happened when I was a sergeant in 1996. What happened in 96, I was a hiring sergeant. I did all the hiring and all the recruiting and the training. I had to hire 19 police officers within a month. The reason why I had to do that was the Navy left. When the Navy left, jobs left. Social decay set in that neighborhood that we all know, Shakur, Cherokee, and all those areas. Things changed. So I said to myself, what could have happened to the leadership if they knew what I knew? So what I did, I asked the chamber, can I go up to DC and speak with the folks in the military? Chamber of Commerce made it happen. I went up there because I felt like what I had learned from 96, if I go up there now and talk to the military and let them know how much we appreciate them, how much we need them to stay here in the Charleston County area now, instead of waiting where it's on the base closure list, do it now. So when I got up there, I met with the 4-star Air Force General. Awesome meeting. We had met before. What he told me, and this is one of the infrastructure situations, when you are on Dorchester Road, the traffic comes from Somerville to North Charleston to either downtown, West Ashley, or North Charleston, folks working, hospitals and things of that nature. My wife retired from MUSC last year. We live at Cedar Grove. Cedar Grove is right across from Westcott Ball Field. If my wife leaves from Cedar Grove to go to the Air Force Base gate on a regular day without traffic, it takes her 8 minutes. But on a work day, it takes her an hour and 11 minutes. What happens is you have 2 lanes going south and 2 lanes going back up to Somerville. So one of the questions I needed to ask the general, and he obliged it, was if we can widen Dorchester Road, especially where the Air Force Base needs to drop its people off, would he be willing to do that? They will. They will. They will. So what the plan is, Hunley Park is the elementary across from the Air Force Base gate. Charleston County School District is closing Hunley Park. They're going to actually place all the children at Lambs on the one side. Air Force is going to, with Charleston County, they're going to push the gates back some, not all the way back, create 3 lanes on each side. We'll have, if you in that area, if you're there like daily, I have a police officer there in the mornings stopping traffic to get the buses into Hunley Park. We will remove that officer now because we have 6 lanes. We'll have 1 dedicated lane for the Air Force personnel to go in. That is going to be big for us. Another thing that we're doing is the naval base redevelopment. The Riverfront Park is there. Great, is awesome. The military installation that we have, the memorial is awesome. We're going to add more to that. The old Admiral House, we have reconditioned that in other homes there. But we're trying to go on the other side of the walk bridge. That's where the development is. So that was another thing that I talked to the Navy 3-star, I think that's an admiral or a general. Admiral, yeah, man. He was dressed real sharp too. He was. I'm serious. He was flowing. I was best dressed in high school. I think he had me. He had me. He was good. He's good. But when I spoke to him about it, they're going to help us as well there. And the reason why we're talking to these generals is because they know North Charleston. They know Charleston area real well. I did not know that the admiral, his family lives on Daniel Island. Yes, the 3-star admiral for the Navy family lives right here at Daniel Island. I don't know where at. So hopefully you're not in here. I didn't say anything, but but I was glad. And he knows everything about the neighborhood. But the Jamestown, they're like the number 1 developer that's going to redevelop the Navy base. See, we don't have a downtown area in North Charleston. The closest we have is East Montague. So that will give us not only eateries, shops, mixed use businesses. We're gonna have homes, and we're gonna have 20% affordable homes. We're gonna actually have green spaces, tons of it, and we have all that water access. So Jamestown, they're really doing the heavy lifting. Awesome group over there. They're so awesome that I go in the Navy base. See, before I used to live on Union Heights, is where I'm from. But I lived on, used to be George Legree. I don't know if y'all remember George Legree. Some of y'all may not know, it was the old naval house. When we lived in the naval housing, right on Spruce, I'm about 5, 6 years old. And I remembered seeing seagulls flying all around. And I'm saying to myself, when I got in first grade, I asked Ms. Randolph, my first grade teacher, Ms. Randolph, why is seagulls? Why are they flying around like this? I mean, this is not like we don't have any water. She said, oh, yeah, water's there. But I didn't believe it. I never knew that the Cooper River was right over there. I never did because we weren't allowed to go certain places, because it was unsafe. So we weren't allowed. When I found out that it was Cooper River over there, I was probably like 16 years old. They had a thing called Operation Shipmate, and I was over there working on the naval base. I said, that's where the seagulls come from. I thought they were flying a long distance to get over there. But uh, but what Jamestown's doing, they're redeveloping it. They're actually building apartment homes there. They're getting prepared for the big lift. So that's another reason why I asked the Air Force and the Navy and the Joint Base, because there's a facility there that we have to move. And they've given us permission to move it so we can actually create that nice waterfront area. They're going to be 2 big docks that they're going to put out, and they're going to put in the water eateries on the water. We already talking to water taxis and things of that nature. See, I always imagined the city I grew up in being a city where we can have, things like any other city have, right? We all know that we're the, either the number 1 or the number 2 retail city in the state. We know that. We know we're an economic engine for the state of South Carolina. But we want to be a place where families and visitors to come and spend a nice dinner with us. Even if we don't choose to eat there, the water taxis my wife, instead of going to Fleet Landing, like that's her favorite restaurant. Instead of her going all the way downtown, we have to find somewhere to park. We can go to the Riverfront Park, get on a water taxi, go to Fleet Landing, go to Shem Creek, go to James Island, and come right back to North Charleston. But we have to have access to do that. And the people from those other areas can come over there as well. And so the Navy base with Jamestown, those guys and girls over there, I thought I would never seen this. They took me to the tour about a month ago. We went through all the places over there, and they got so much going on. They're building like crazy. But this is the thing that really got me of all that stuff. They took me in one of the old buildings they had reconditioned, and they took me upstairs to the attic, to the rooftop. North Charleston, we get ready to have rooftop dining. I am proud. I'm proud. I'm proud. Yes, I am proud. I'm like, man, look at this. I mean, you would have never thought I was seeing anything like that in North Charleston. But that just shows you that company believes in trying to create North Charleston the way that any other water city that's near the water looks. And so when you guys come over here, when it's done, you're going to really enjoy it. Now, we also have like the Coast Guard. When I spoke to the Coast Guard, 1-star general, and I met him many times before, he still calls me chief. I said, yeah, I love that. I work hard for that. I really did. So he says, Chief, there's 2 things we need for the Coast Guard. He's bringing the whole East Coast Command. That's around about 5,000 to 8,000 personnel. He's going to have 4 to 5 cutters. And he wants his personnel to live very close, because it's not like the regular Navy, Air Force, and Marines and Army that you can muster them in. The Coast Guard needs to hit those boats right then and go down to, Miami or wherever they need to go. So I would say this to you. I'm gonna ask you all a question. What is the number one thing? There's two main things that he needs, two of them. Can you tell me what will be the number one desire for the Coast Guard when they move here? Housing? Anything else? Schools? Say it again, sir. Education. Guess what it is? Daycare. Daycare. Why? Because most Coast Guard members, when they go out to sea, they're out there for a while. The wives and husband who are not in the Coast Guard, they're the ones who have to either work or stay home and babysit. And if you own a 2-income home, you need your spouse to be at work. That's the number one request. And then it's housing. So I've been speaking to the realtors and home builders, and they really are engaged to start working to get those things done for them. So we can't wait till the Coast Guard gets here. I mean, they're going to be moving in, piece by piece, but they're going to actually build 2 huge docks so they can put those cutters there. And that will be their East Coast command right here for God knows how long. Thank God for the Coast Guard. Then we have the old West Waco paper mill, where my father worked for 28 years. And I don't know if how many people have worked at West Waco paper mill, but one thing, if you did, we got that little red and white box every Thanksgiving with the turkey in it. Oh, and we would take that box and put sneakers in it and put toys in it till we wore it out until the next Thanksgiving came. But that's how West Waco took care of North Charleston residents. So what's going to happen there is that they already have the Hugh Leatherman docks there, which is 5 cranes. But once the West Waco is developed, they're going to have a capacity to put like 4 to 5 berths, ships there. And they're going to be rolling it out and bringing things in. But before that's done, we have the Department of Transportation, South Carolina, they have to raise the Mark Clark and widen the Mark Clark, because you can't get those huge containers under the Mark Clark. And the Mark Clark is close to West Waco. So that's going to be a heavy lift, but the state has already allocated the funds. Now, in that, Ferndale community, Highland Terrace, Liberty Park, those are the communities on both sides of Rivers Avenue. They are going to be impacted. They have already did all the work with the families there. They bought the properties. And what they've done is what I like that the South Carolina Department of Transportation, what they did under Governor McMaster's, is this program was already in work. So what they've done, they've actually placed educational uplift in those neighborhoods. They've actually already signed on to whomever children in those neighborhoods that they had to buy out to provide free college education for them. They've actually done the daycare. Thank you. They've done a lot to make sure that the people who they impacted the most when they would give them the top value of their property, help them to move, but they would give them something that would actually help them turn their lives around. And to be honest with you, spoke to a couple of people, is more than they ever expected, more than they thought they would get. But I think that the Department of Transportation under the state, under Governor McMaster's, they have learned from the past things that have happened and say, we want to be different, we want to be better. So I thank him a lot for doing that. We also, the Don Hope Bridge, like I said, is going to be widened. But the bridge that I really, really, really concentrate my effort on is the North Bridge. You may have seen that we did some robocalls and text things about the penny sales tax. I am not your politician, people. I'm a cop, right? So it's hard for me to ask you for something, because in law enforcement, we don't ever ask you for anything, because that's illegal. So it's hard for me to do that, right? But I'm learning. It's not really asking for me, it's asking for everybody. So the North Bridge that takes you from North Charleston to West Ashley. If you look at that bridge, it's an older bridge, but if you look at the majority of people that live in North Charleston that go over to West Ashley, go over there to work. S&S Cafeteria, one of my favorite in the world. eateries over there, the restaurants. Most of the people that leave North Charleston in the mornings, they work over there. The problem is this. They have a gauntlet, I would say, a gauntlet. If you look at it, there are no sidewalks on either side. There's a brick median in the middle of the 2-lane highway. And it's not a brick median that you can walk on because they put cones that's almost like 4 feet away to keep you from walking. But if we're asking our people to get out and work, right? Take care of themselves, provide for their families. I've seen people go over there to do that and take their lives. Just put their lives at risk because when you're walking through those cones, you're doing this and then you're doing that and you're trying to get around them because you're trying to get to work. And then a truck mirror taps you in the back and pushes you in the road. We've got to do something better, people. They are trying to do what we want them to do, work for a living. If the taxpayers built the bridge, then let's go ahead and widen the bridge to put a pedestrian and bicyclist path to get over and back. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for nothing other than to give them access to get over there. Some people don't have driver's license, but they work. Some people can afford a car, but they work. They got to feed their families, right? And they can't get over there in a safe manner. So that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to do. Also, the low country rapid transit system. Now, I don't know how many people here from the north, we can't put subways around here. That ain't gonna happen. That won't happen. I'm serious. I mean, we're thinking about it, but it won't happen. So we have to do our thing above ground. So, we're actually putting a low country rapid transit system. It's going to actually begin at the fairgrounds. It's going to go right down the middle of Rivers Avenue. And what it's going to do is going to get you from the fairgrounds area, from Rivers and Goose Creek area, all the way to Otranto, Green Ridge, the mall, Eagle Drive, Ashley Phosphate Rivers, all that, all the way down to Reynolds Avenue. It's about 26 miles. The thing about this rapid transit is this. It is going to work because the bus number 10, and I ride bus number 10 like every 3 weeks. I get on the bus because I want to talk to the people that ride the bus. They know how this thing works. So I want to hear what they have to say. And they always tell me, they said, Mayor, we love the bus system. It's that we needed to be more frequent. For instance, the young man, most of our people, we have about 50,000 people that work downtown in West Ashley every day, hotels, at the restaurants, working other jobs. And then they come back home every day. Well, the young man had 4 hours promised to him by his boss so he can make some overtime. He's coming from Rivers and Green Ridge. He gets on the bus. He's on bus number 10. Bus number 10 stops to every bus stop. By the time he gets down to Rivers and Remont Road, he's already an hour behind. By the time he gets down the Rivers and Durant, he's another hour behind. So by the time he gets down to Ann Street downtown, 3 hours. He lost 4 hours, 3 hours that he could have put food in his family's mouth. So the rapid transit will cut that out because it's going to go rapid. It's only going to stop like probably 3 to 4 times. It's going to be steady. Bus 10 will still be doing its thing, but rapid transit will get you there. But here's the problem I have. That's why I asked for this. At Rivers and Durant, where the Amtrak station's at, right, is the overpass. The Amtrak station underneath. If you go, when you're on Rivers and Durant and you're heading south on Rivers Avenue, you see a railroad track right there. Where that railroad track, when the railroad comes, it stops Rivers Avenue traffic and Meeting Street traffic. And if the train long enough, it'll stop Sproul Avenue traffic. So if that happens, right, how could you have a rapid system? You can't have that. That's why we have $40 million set aside. We need 60 more to get that overpass done so that rapid transit system does not stop. Those are the things that I'm asking for, not for me, but for the citizens to get where they need to get so they can do the things they want to. Also, in the city of North Charleston, Roper's coming. Oh my goodness. They bring in a big, big hospital. They bought the Verizon building, which is right next to us. They bought Old City Hall. They bought the Sanders Brothers pit there, and they bought all the buildings across from it. It's a $1 to $2 billion hospital. And one of the biggest things that they love about that area, see, that's called the center point, because it's at I-26 and 526. So Roper's coming there. It's going to be so great for this region. I think we should take advantage of it because it's going to be state of art, just like MUSC and other hospitals tried it. But we're going to have something more modern in the city of North Charleston, and we need it really bad. So those are some of the things that's going on in North Charleston. And all I'm really trying to do is continue to lead and guide the city along the way. The people that work at City of North Charleston, they don't work for me. They work for the people. I just had a meeting with our Public Works Department, and I had to go in and readjust the pay. We had a young man that worked for the Public Works Department making $52,000, and he'd been there for 32 years. 32 years. He can't even afford to retire. So I had to go in and look at them individually by the years that they put in and revamp the pay. Our fire department. See, there's only 3 cities in the state of South Carolina that has 100,000 population. City of Charleston is the biggest, Columbia is the second, and North Charleston is the third. I have to compete with City of Charleston and Columbia. People talk about recruiting. I can recruit you, but I can't retain you if the City of Charleston or Columbia is paying you more. So when you look at public works, see, when I talk to North Charleston residents, we have 66 civic club meetings every month. I can't go to all of them, but I go to at least half of them. But when you go in those meetings, right, you talk to the citizens, and I say, well, we're trying to do this for the police department. We're trying to do that for the fire department. They love that. But I know one thing. You may not have a big problem if the police does not show up, as long as they call you and tell you they got your call. And the fire department doesn't come out and you have a little small brush fire, you can get your hose. But oh my goodness, if the public works don't show up and get your garbage or your trash, you've got problems. You're going to call me and you're going to be like, I want it. I'm telling you. So we've got to see when people looked at the word public works, they looked at it in a down way. They looked at it in a negative way. We can't do that. They are people. They care. So I'm trying to just renegotiate the mindsets of everybody counts in the city of North Charleston. Because the citizens, I can't serve you or the citizens of North Charleston without those people that work with me serving y'all. I can't. We've got to do right by them so they can do right by our number one commodity. That's the citizens of North Charleston. And I'm only saying that because I'm from North Charleston. I care for you all too. But I'm just saying that. But that's just how I feel. And I guess my law enforcement background with public service and caring about people has transcended into what I'm doing as a mayor. But I'm doing it more on the business side of things. So that's some of the things that we're doing in North Charleston. And like I said, right now we have over 2,800 hotel rooms in the Tanger area. We have 2 hotels that are just about to open up. Then we have 2 more that's going to take us up to 4,900 rooms. Because when you fly into this area, you fly into North Charleston. When you take a train, you take it in North Charleston. When you take a bus, to get downtown, you must go through North Charleston. To get to West Ashland, you got to go through North Charleston. To get to Somerville Goose Creek, you must go. And to come over here at Daniel Island, because he corrected me, I'm glad he did, you have to go through North Charleston. It's the center point. So we have a whole lot going on, and we have a whole lot that we want to do, but we must make sure we take care of the number one commodity. That's the people in North Charleston. Have any questions? Other than that, God bless y'all.
mics here, so raise your hand. You. Question.
Questions on this side?
Oh my goodness, it's gonna be a big one here.
I appreciate that Roper is building a new hospital. Always here to say, will still work for a small business. So what do we do to help support small businesses?
I'm with you. Holy City, you know I'm with you. You're 100% right. When I became the mayor, well, before I became the mayor, I was running. I kind of, because I had the inside scoop, I kind of know what was going on in City Hall. And one of the things that we did not have is as lucrative as our businesses are in City North Charleston. We did not have a SBE, small business enterprise. You know, woman owned, minority owned. We didn't have that. So I created that my first day at the job. So that SBE will actually, this is how it works. You come in to City Hall on the third floor, you go to the SBE office. If you want to do any kind of work in North Charleston, the problem that people have is they don't understand the system. So when they come in there now, Frank Ankrum runs that. Frank will sit you down, see exactly what you're trying to do. And then he will walk you over to procurement, and then he'll walk you over to planning and zoning. See, we have what we call a one-stop shop, but it really wasn't that because we didn't have SBE. So our SBE is there. You're 100% right. Our small businesses lift all our big businesses, therefore lift our city. And you're 100% right. That's why I did it. Also, we only had one grant coordinator in the city's history. The city is 128,000 people, only one grant coordinator. So I hired two more. And we're getting grants in. You know, see, our funding stream, I'm glad you mentioned that. Our funding stream goes this way. 44% of our revenue stream comes from property taxes. 22% of our revenue streams come from business license. 12 to 16% of our revenue stream comes from local option sale taxes. So when you put that together, we can forecast what kind of funds we're going to have to run our city. But most importantly, we have to realize we have to divide that $158 million, budget that we have times 21, because all the departments are there. Police, fire, culture, arts, all those departments, you have to give them money to run their departments. So that's why I got the grants coordinators in, because we can't just live off of taxpayers' money and the property taxes. You know, there are some cities that revenue streams work differently. And when the pandemic happened, some cities had to borrow money. We were in the black because our revenue streams come from those three entities. You know, so North Charleston is really, really doing real well, but we have to continue to build neighborhoods responsibly. And we always have to make sure that our core, that is the small business. I mean, that's our core. If you look around, that's how we got started. When Mayor Bourne came in 72, through small businesses. Yeah, good question. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're on it. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the new port, there's basically a single rail line running up from there. Any thoughts to doubling that rail line to help get the trucks off the road from 526? And the second part, what's the schedule for Don Holt as you now understand it?
Well, I'll get to Don Holt real first, quick. That's going to be years out. It's going to be probably like 5 to 6 years out once they start doing everything, because they have to actually go and dredge, do things like that. So it's going to be, several years out. But your first question, well, I'll say this right here. Matter of fact, repeat that again, because I want to say it exactly how I thought I was going to say it. Say it again. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Is a single rail line.
It is.
Is there any thought to doubling that rail line so that you can get more efficient carriage out of the port and get the trucks off the road.
Yes, sir. I was going to get to the ending part. That's why I'm glad you stated it again. What happens is this, because we have the Hugh Leatherman now, and then West Frick will be down there pretty soon. We're going to have more cargo, right? And that means more trucks, and that's going to inundate our city, right? Well, they've already kind of worked that out. If you go on Cosgrove right now, you can't get to McMillan. McMillan is shut down. What they have done, they've actually built a bridge from the rail all the way to Cosgrove, and it's going to go over Spruill Avenue and dump right on Cosgrove to the interstate, right there. So it won't impact Cosgrove and Rivers. Spruill and Rivers. What happens is, you're right, I'll look into the double rail, but the rail system will be going toward Goose Creek side on that rail that's there. I'm hoping and praying that we can get a double rail because it would help with the capacity and lessen what's going on the interstate. Miss Miller, she's about 78 years old, I think 79. She lives in what we call Otranto, Deer Park area. She's been in the house. Her mother bought that house in the 50s. So her mother passed and she lives there. I met Ms. Miller when I was running. I was going canvassing door to door. And Ms. Miller said, "You're the chief of police." I said, "How you recognize me?" "Afro." I said, "Yeah, you're right." Right. So Ms. Miller, I was standing on the porch. She said, "Come on in." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I walked on in. I'm looking to see if anybody's in there because I'm a police, I'm like, like that. I'm bobbing and weaving. But when I get in there, I said, "Ms. Miller," I said, "It's a nice home." She said, "Yeah." She told me about the history. And she said, "You want something to drink?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "Tell me some things that's going on in your community." She said, "Listen." And I heard what she's been hearing all her life. I sat in the living room in the same chair Ms. Miller sits in every day. I said, "Ms. Miller, take me outside in your porch." I go outside and I sat on the same chair she sits on the porch. I walked out her backyard. She doesn't even go out there. What has happened is they did a sound. They try to do something about 15 years ago. They want to see the noise, how the noise was permeating the area. When they did it 15 years ago, think about it, you still had the tree line there. They have removed the tree lines away. And I understand why. We understand why. But what I and Ms. Miller want, we need a sound barrier. And so that's another infrastructure thing that I'm pushing for. I spoke to Governor McMaster's. I developed that relationship with him when he wanted me to come up as a Department of Public Safety Director in 19. So I developed a relationship with him. He sent the Department of Transportation Secretary, Christy Hall at the time, down. And she says, "Yeah, we have to think about this." So the railroad, like you said, is something that I'm talking to him about as well. Of course, the state doesn't regulate the railroads, but he understands that the impacts could be very crucial, especially on the North Red area, going toward Hanahan and Goose Creek if we don't double it up. So that we kind of like out there, but is it going to happen? I don't know, but we're actually pressing for it. Thank you for the question.
Just a quick question. Will North Charleston get tax revenue from Roper?
That's a good question. I have to come back to you on that one. That's a good one. I'm gonna bring it up tomorrow morning. Woo! Yes. Hopefully we'll get something, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I appreciate it, and I will. Tomorrow, matter of fact, I'll try to call somebody tonight, wake them up. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I guess you can hear me. I can hear me.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I appreciate you coming out here and I appreciate your enthusiasm
Thank you, sir.
for North Charleston. We had Mayor Cogswell out here about a month ago, and he's spent quite a bit of time talking about how North Charleston, West Ashley, and Charleston counties were going to work together. I'm just interested in what your perspective is around that and what the value is around that.
Well, good question again, sir. I've been working at North Charleston under 3 mayors. Mayor Bourne, I came in 89. Mayor Conant, he came in 91, 92, and the Mayor Summit came in 93, 94. So I've been around all the mayors in North Charleston, and they did a wonderful job. I've seen a lot of City of Charleston mayors as well. Not that many because, Mayor Riley was there for a long time. But he's doing a great job, and Mayor Tecklenburg and Mayor Coswell, we will do the same. When we won the election, Mayor Coswell and I, he called me, and we had been talking before. He called me, and he said, "Hey, Reg," he said, "Hey, you're busy?" I said, "No, I'm just really getting ready to go to City Hall because I have to pack up my office as a chief." And he said, "Well, I'm in the area." I said, "Come by." So he came by. And I want to say this to you because I want you to understand this. The way I was raised is that you value a person by who they are. You don't listen to all that rhetoric outside. You get to know them yourself. And Mayor Coswell sat in my office the day after the 8th of November after we won and told me his story. He told me who he was. He told me about his family. He told me he had lost his biological father when he was young. He told me how his adoptive father picked him up, made him the man that he was. Told me about his wife and his kids. And I'm sitting there, and I was like, wow, this is a guy that I can work with because he told me who he was. And I, in return, told him who I was. That's why we have such a great relationship. I spoke to him today. See, what folks don't know is that we're trying to get the homeless people off these streets. We're trying to get them from under these overpasses, the tunnels, the towers. That's over on Ashley Phosphate, 65 beds that they're going to turn into suites for veterans. How in the world? We sit back and we don't do for them. It's amazing. So you're right, sir. We're working with him on everything. Not only, the things that he and I deal with daily, the things that impact our areas. He and I talked today. We're going to actually get together with Mayor Haney and talk about how we can work together to get the things that we need done in our cities. Not the things that other people may want to do, but what we need, the needs are. My mother always said, hey, imperatives and desirables. Imperatives and desirables. You may want what you desire, but you need imperatives. So, my relation with Mayor Coswell, I call him William, he call me Reggie. It's awesome. His wife and my wife, they know each other. We are working together, and he and I understand that for our cities to coexist, we have to first show ourselves friendly. And because we did do that, we're around each other. Whenever we go to the COG or wherever we go, you will see me and Mayor Coswell sitting right by each other. If we walking down the street, you see him and I, and we don't act like regular people now. We chum up and we be, hitting each other's leg because it's like, I have to let him in and he had to let me in because we did back in the day, and I got to speak it now, back in the day before Daniel Allen was really, really, kind of developed. Back in the day when I was a rookie, I remember the chief down there said he was going to lock up everybody and send them to North Charleston. Serious. North Charleston was a dumping ground for everybody. And I didn't like that because I love my city. So when I became the chief, Chief Reynolds, who was one of my best friends, he and I changed that dynamic. We care for one another, therefore we care for our cities. So me and Mayor Coswell, we got a lot we're doing together, and we consistently talk to each other and we support one another. Thank you for that.
Mayor Burgess, I'll exert my right to
Yes.
ask one here. When you spoke to our Rotary Club back in the spring, talking about sort of getting to know you as a person, you mentioned that a mentor that came along for you that really pointed you in the right direction. Would you be willing to share that story with these folks this evening?
Remind me of the mentor that I talked about. Do you remember which one I talked about? Because I got a couple.
We're talking about when your father died, you had
Gotcha.
this mentor. Right?
You know, folks don't know too much. They read on me and they read about my life and my family. Folks, I wasn't supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to be standing here. It wasn't in the cards for me. My mom's best woman I ever met, other than my wife. Had 2 children. I was born in 65. My brother was born in 68. And she had us 10 years by just her and her sons, working 3 jobs. She worked 1 job in the morning at Southern Trucking on the neck. She would catch the bus and come down to the Howell House on Rivers Avenue, cook there, come home for an hour, and then she would go back to another job. On the weekends, we would go to Mount Pleasant. I was with her. And she would knock on doors and said, I will wash your clothes, I would dry your clothes, and I'll fold your clothes. And I was there with her. Sometimes she would clean the floors. She did whatever she had to do to take care of her sons. But then here comes a knock on the door, and I was 10 years old. And this man said, I'm Willie, and I came to see your mother, Miss Bertha. And I go into my mom's dad, and she came out, and she said, let him in. Here comes a man that worked at the paper mill that saw a woman with two children, loved her so much that he said, I want to marry you. He took us off the projects, people, placed us in the community that he lived in, that he had a house willed to him by his mother. I had a yard to play in. I had a room of my own. I went to church. I had a family. Not that he did so much for me and my brothers, but he turned my mother's life around. See, I remember people. My mother would come home sometimes and she would have bandages on her arm. I said, Mama, what happened? She said, well, the grease popped on my arm. And she said, I just banded up. I'll be all right. And I remember one day she had another bandage on the other arm. I said, Mama, you got to wash that grease. She said, oh, no, son. I had to sell blood to pay the bills. That's sacrifice. My father, my mother sacrificed for me and my brothers to be here. One day, I went to a beach called Short Stay. It's in Mounts Corner. My brother and I and my cousin, we get to this beach. We're playing in the water. We had a friend with us, and we're having a good time. And my aunt said, okay, come on, let's get something to eat. So we go get something to eat. We finish eating, and we're like young kids, and we want to go back in the water. She said, no, you just ate. So we walked around, my brother, my cousin, and this guy. We walked up on the pier. They had a pier back then, high pier. We were watching this guy fish, and he was fishing and everything. And so he's trying to teach us how to fish. And then that kid who was with us decided to go back in the water. And we looked at him. He says, I'm bored. I'm going back in the water. And he decided to climb off the pier. He was 7 years old. And he climbed off that pier. And all I heard was a splash. And I looked over. And that kid was in the water. It was deep water. And I saw him come up like 3 times and didn't see him anymore. My cousin ran to my aunt and the other ladies, and they went out to try to find this kid. We got out there early in the morning. It was dark. They had dragged the water. Coast Guard was out there. It was late. Guy named Kenny Robinson was like a big brother of us. He was a former Marine. He says, we've got to find him. We can't go home without him. The police tried to hold him back. He broke free and he ran out in the water. It was dark. And they were screaming, come back, Kenny, come back. And next thing you know, Kenny went out real deep and he jumped up in the air and he said, I got him. He had the little boy's arm in his hand. They brought the little boy and lied him down on the sand. The EMS was already there. They tried to resuscitate him. They put the sheet over his head. They put him in that EMS with the lights off. But God had another plan. That little boy woke up with the sheet on his face. That was me. Kenny Robinson risked his life to save me. People, I have a purpose to be here. And I'm going to fulfill God's purpose. And I want y'all to know that if y'all need me for anything, I'm there for you. I'm there for you.
Folks, we have a great topic and then you have such an authentic speaker. It's a real bonus. Mayor, that was outstanding. Thank you so much. As a token of our appreciation, we have some selected items from around the Low Country. We thank you. Folks, thank you very much. We'll see you next quarter, January 22nd. Thanks for coming. Drive safely. Have a great night.